Damn it! The billionaire's shout sliced through the howling winds and relentless rain like a thunderclap. Can you imagine it? His voice, raw with frustration, bounced off the stormy chaos of that wild, turbulent day. Chris. Oh, this was Chris, a self-made white billionaire who'd clawed his way to the top, was racing down a desolate road in his sleek black Mercedes, the kind of car that screams success. He was on his way to sign $1 billion deal. Yes, $1 billion. The kind of deal that could cement his legacy forever. But then, out of nowhere, boom! The car lurched violently, skidding to the side of the road. One tire, completely blown out, with no cell phone signal in sight. Can you believe how hopeless it felt? Everything he'd worked for was slipping away right there in the pouring rain. The storm didn't care about his plans. It was merciless. Rain hammered the roof of his luxury car like a frantic drumbeat, each drop mocking his crumbling schedule. Those windshield wipers? They swished back and forth like mad, fighting a losing battle against the downpour, blurring his view of that winding, lonely road. Chris glanced at the glowing digits on his dashboard. Only 45 minutes left until his critical meeting in the city. This wasn't just some casual appointment, no way. It was the deal of a lifetime, the kind that could rocket his career to new heights. He'd always prided himself on being in control, the guy who had it all together. But today, control slipped right through his fingers when that tire exploded with a jolt and a deafening thud. Boom! Thump! 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 The sound pounded in his ears as he muttered another sharp, "Damn it!" yanking the car onto the narrow shoulder. Stepping out into the deluge, he winced. Can you picture it? As icy rain soaked through his tailored suit, the kind he'd spent a fortune on to look the part. The wind whipped around him like a cruel prank, and the muddy roadside squelched under his polished leather shoes, ruining them instantly. He popped the trunk and stared at the spare tire, a wave of helplessness crashing over him. Change a tire? Him? Are you kidding? That wasn't in his playbook. He had assistants, staff, people for that. There he stood, on the edge of a small, deserted town, surrounded by endless sky and fields rolling with hills. He spun around, desperate for a sign of life. But what did he see? Nothing. No people, no houses, just him, the rain, and that relentless ticking clock. Should he call for roadside assistance? Ha! Fat chance. His phone had 0 bars. No signal at all. Damn it! He cursed again, his breath puffing out in the cold, wet air as he scanned the empty road stretching forever in both directions. It was just him, his disappointment, and this gnawing sense of failure. If he didn't make that meeting, what then? He'd lose the $1 billion deal, poof, gone. And worse, his reputation as the punctual professional billionaire would be trashed. Just as he was about to throw in the towel, something incredible happened. Can you guess? Faint laughter, like a beacon of hope, cut through the drumming rain. He squinted into the distance, and there they were. 3 figures pedaling toward him on bicycles. 3 black boys, no older than 15. Their voices bright and alive against the dreary storm. Their mismatched raincoats, splattered with mud from puddle-soaked rides, flapped as they approached. Who were these kids? They slowed down, tires crunching on the wet gravel, and the tallest one, a boy with curly hair peeking out from a worn-out blue raincoat, shouted, "Hey, mister! Need some help?" Chris straightened up, blinking in disbelief. Really? He glanced at their bikes, then at their youthful, rain-streaked faces. Part of him wanted to wave them off politely, pride, you know? But the reality of his soggy, stranded mess won out. Yeah, I got a flat tire," he admitted, pointing at the shredded rubber like it was a personal insult. "But I'm not sure if we can help," he started, only to be cut off by that curly-haired boy, Ethan. His name was Ethan, with a grin so confident it almost glowed. "We've done this loads of times. Well, mostly on bikes, but it's the same idea, right?" His buddies, Tony and Peter, nodded like eager sidekicks, their eyes sparkling with excitement. Chris hesitated. Could these kids really do this? He watched as Ethan handed his bike to Tony and dropped to his knees to check the tire, rain dripping off his hood. "You've got a spare, right?" Ethan asked, peering up through glasses fogged with raindrops. "In the trunk," Chris mumbled, stepping back, still half doubting. But these boys, They moved like a well-oiled machine. Tony grabbed the jack and wrench from the trunk. Peter braced the car to keep it steady. And Ethan, the natural leader, started loosening the lug nuts with hands that didn't shake even in the cold. "You don't mind getting wet?" Chris asked, his voice laced with curiosity and a touch of awe. Peter just shrugged, casual as can be. "It's just rain. We're already soaked anyway." Can you imagine that attitude? As they worked, Chris couldn't help but marvel. Seriously? Who were these kids? Despite their drenched clothes and the pounding rain, they laughed and chatted like they were on some grand adventure, not stuck fixing a stranger's tire. Their teamwork was unreal. Tony passing tools with precision, Peter holding the car steady like a rock, and Ethan swapping out the flat tire in what felt like no time at all. "Done," Ethan declared, wiping his muddy hands on his raincoat with a grin that said, "Told you so." Chris stared at the car, then at them, his jaw practically dropping. "You really pulled it off," he exclaimed, his voice a mix of shock and gratitude. He fumbled for his wallet, pulling out a thick stack of crisp bills. "Here, take this, you've earned it." But Ethan waved him off like it was nothing. "No need, mister. We were just passing by and thought we'd help." Tony chimed in. "Besides, you need to get to where you're going." Chris gaped at them. "Wait, what? No one turns down money, right?" He wasn't used to this. Kindness with no catch, no hidden agenda. "Are you sure? It's the least I can do," he pressed, practically begging them to take it. Ethan just smiled, shaking his head. "We're sure. Just drive safe. Okay?" And with that, can you believe it? They hopped back on their bikes, pedaling off into the rain, their laughter fading into the storm like a sweet melody. Chris stood there, soaked to the bone, watching them vanish. For the first time in years, he felt something stir deep inside. What was it? Gratitude? No, it was bigger than that. Something he couldn't name. He climbed back into his car, glancing at the dashboard clock. Still time to make the meeting. But as he peeled out, his mind wasn't on the deal. It was on those three boys, their muddy raincoats, their pure, unselfish hearts leaving a mark he couldn't shake. Gripping the steering wheel, Chris powered through the storm. Oh, the urgency was electric. The repaired car cut through the rain-soaked road like a lifeline. But his thoughts? They kept drifting back to those boys. Those incredible kids, their easy laughter, their teamwork. It all stuck with him, lingering like a warm glow in the cold chaos. He pulled up to the towering glass skyscraper just as the rain eased. Perfect timing, right? The valet rushed over with an umbrella, and Chris stepped out, smoothing his damp suit, muddy smudges on his cuffs catching the attendant's eye. Did he care? Nope. He brushed it off with a quick nod and strode inside. The conference room buzzed like a beehive, his team shuffling papers, whispering nervously. The clients perched at the end of a long mahogany table, faces blank as stone. Chris took his seat at the head. Time to shine. This billion-dollar merger had been months in the making, and he leaned in, summoning that commanding vibe he was famous for. He pitched his vision, nailed the financials, answered every question with razor-sharp precision. Boom, he was back in control. But wait. Deep in his mind, something tugged at him. Those boys, huddled in the rain, hands flying, laughter rising above the storm, kept replaying. They didn't ask for a dime, didn't expect a thing. They just helped. How was that even possible? He powered through the meeting, but, oh man! His focus wavered. His voice stumbled once, then twice. Can you imagine the looks from his team? Chris, the unshakable titan, faltering? Unheard of. Usually he'd be riding high on the thrill of a deal like this, but today, something softer, deeper crept in. When the clients finally shook his hand, deal sealed. It didn't hit like it should have. Back in his office, he yanked off his tie, sank into his leather chair, and stared out at the rain-streaked city skyline. Normally, he'd be popping champagne. Yes. But now, his mind was stuck on those boys, reaching for his wallet, expecting them to take the cash, only for them to say no. That shook him, rattled him to his core. In his world, everything had a price. Kindness was a transaction, a stepping stone. But those boys, Ethan's cocky grin, Tony's steady hands, Peter's chill shrug, They flipped that upside down. What was this feeling? It gnawed at him all evening. He owed them more than a thanks or some bills. As the storm cleared, city lights twinkling below, he made up his mind. Oh, this was big. He'd go back to that town, not because he had to, but because he needed to. What could he do to match their goodness? He didn't know yet, but for the first time in forever, Chris felt a spark. Real purpose, beyond the boardroom grind, and he wasn't letting it go. Next morning, bright and early, Chris woke with fire in his chest. The sun peeked through clouds, puddles glinting on the streets. No suit today, casual navy sweater, dark jeans. Because this wasn't business, it was personal. Driving back to that small town, fields stretching wide, he replayed their kindness. Those boys had changed him. He hit that same stretch of road, crisp air, storm-washed earth, and scanned for them. There they were, outside a modest diner, bikes against the wall, laughing like nothing else mattered. Ethan spotted him first. Hey, it's the guy from yesterday. And Tony waved. Car holding up okay? Chris grinned. Oh, these kids. Thanks to you three. It is. Mind if I join you? He asked, sliding onto a bench. I've got to thank you properly. You didn't have to help, but you did, and it's huge. Ethan shrugged. No big deal. You needed a hand. Tony added. We were soaked anyway. Might as well. Chris laughed. Really laughed. You've got more heart than anyone I've met. Peter tilted his head. It's just what you do. Help out, right? Chris pulled out a notebook. Ideas swirling. You didn't want anything, but I've got to do something. Maybe fix your bikes? Something practical? Tony frowned. Nah, we're good. Peter nodded. No reward needed. But Ethan paused. Oh, here it comes. Well, there's this community center, kinda beat up, leaky roof, old gear. They're raising money, but it's slow. Chris leaned in. Jackpot. That's worth helping. Tony jumped in. Yeah, help them, not us. These kids, selfless to the end. Deal, Chris said, shaking Ethan's hand. You reminded me what matters. Thank you. As he drove off, their smiles burned into his soul. Kindness like that? It's everything. Days later, he was back. Plan in motion. Calls made, resources lined up, not to flex, but to give. At the community center, faded paint, patched roof, he found them crafting a fundraiser banner. Hey, Mr. Chris. Ethan beamed. What's up? I'm speeding this up, Chris said. Construction buddies, suppliers. They're fixing this place. Their jaws dropped. Really? Next week. It starts, he promised. Tony blinked. But the cost? Worth every penny. For everyone here. Chris laughed. Soon, Karen, the director, walked in. Wary but warm. I'm here to help. Full renovation. New playground. All of it. Chris said. Karen gasped. Yes, yes, thank you. The work kicked off fast. Roof fixed. Walls patched. Playground reborn. The boys pitched in, painting, hauling, laughing with the crew. One Saturday, families gathered. Swings gleamed. Kids cheered. Karen whispered, You've given us hope. Chris knelt by Ethan, Tony, Peter. You started this. Ethan grinned. Just a tire, man. No, Chris said. You fixed me. Driving away, he felt whole. Those boys' kindness? It's a ripple that'll never stop. Subscribe, comment, join this vibe. Where are you watching from? Oh, can you feel the tension? As that meeting dragged on, endlessly it seemed, Chris found himself slipping. His voice, usually sharp as a blade, faltered once, then twice. Can you imagine the shock on his team's faces? They stared at him wide-eyed, like they'd seen a ghost. This was Chris, the guy who could command a room with a single glance, the billionaire whose sharpness was legendary. But today? Oh, today was different. His usual fire, that relentless drive that fueled him, felt dimmed, replaced by something quieter, something deeper. What was it? Introspection? Reflection? When the meeting finally wrapped up, phew, he sealed the billion-dollar deal. Sure, but where was the thrill? It hit him flat, less satisfying than he'd ever dreamed. Clients shuffled out, shaking his hand, tossing congratulations his way. But Chris? He just nodded, barely there, his mind already wandering far from that polished conference room. Back in his office, oh, what a sanctuary! He yanked his tie loose with a sigh and sank into his plush leather chair, the kind that hugged you just right. He stared out at the city skyline. Wow, what a view! Rain streaking the glass like tears, the storm still brooding over the metropolis. Normally, he'd be popping champagne, shouting from the rooftops about closing a deal this massive. Billions, people, billions. But today, his heart wasn't in it. No way. His mind kept spinning back to that rainy roadside, to the moment he reached into his wallet, so sure those boys would take his cash. Their refusal? Oh, it hit him like a punch. Left him wobbling. In his world, his shiny, calculated world, everything had a price tag, right? Generosity? Just a chess move for networking or flexing influence. But those boys, those incredible kids, helped him with no strings, no expectations. How could that be? It was so simple, yet so alien it shook him to his core. Chris leaned back. Can you feel the weight? His thoughts pressing down like a storm cloud of their own. Ethan's confident grin flashed in his mind. Oh, that kid had guts. Tony's steady hands, Peter's easy shrug. They danced in his memory like a movie he couldn't pause. These boys, just teenagers, showed him a selflessness he hadn't seen in years. Maybe ever. What did it mean? It gnawed at him, left him questioning what exactly? He couldn't pin it down, but it was big, life-changing. All evening, he wrestled with this nagging ache. He owed them more than a quick thanks or some crumpled bills, didn't he? As the storm outside softened, city lights twinkling against wet streets below, he watched the rain fade. Oh, it was mesmerizing. And bam, it hit him. He'd go back to that small town. Not because he had to, but because he needed to. Something more, something meaningful. Wasn't that worth chasing? He didn't know what it'd look like or how those boys would take it. But for the first time in ages, years, maybe, Chris felt a spark, a real, burning purpose beyond boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. This was it. The thing he'd been missing. Next morning, bright and early, can you believe it? Chris bolted awake, his resolve like steel. The sun peeked through clouds. Hopeful, right? The storm's leftovers just puddles dotting the city streets. No suit today. Oh no. He threw on a cozy navy sweater and dark jeans. A total shift from his usual power attire. This wasn't business. Ha! This was personal, raw, real. As he drove toward that small town, the highway unfurled into rolling fields and quiet houses. Peaceful, wasn't it? And with every mile, the memory of those boys grew stronger, louder. Their selfless act, was it just a tire fix? Lit up his mind like a beacon. He couldn't just toss them a casual gesture. No way. It had to be big, meaningful, something to match their humble, golden hearts. Didn't it? He rolled up to that same stretch of road, where it all began. The air crisp, the earth smelling fresh and alive after the storm. Slowing his car, he scanned the small town. Where were they? His heart thumping with anticipation. Then there, he spotted them outside a modest diner. Bikes propped against the wall like old friends. Ethan, Tony, and Peter, laughing. Oh, that carefree, youthful laugh. Their voices cutting through the morning stillness. Chris grinned. Couldn't help it. Parked across the street and stepped out, his pulse racing. Crossing the road, Ethan clocked him first. Hey, it's the guy from yesterday. Nudging his buddies with a smirk. Tony and Peter spun around, faces lighting up. Really? Like they just spotted a friend. Hey, mister. Tony called, casual but warm. Car holding up okay? Chris chuckled. Oh, these kids. Nodding quick. Thanks to you three. It is. He paused, eyeing their bikes. Beat up but loved, and asked, mind if I join you for a minute? They swapped glances. Cute, right? Then shrugged together. Sure, Peter said, waving at the bench outside the diner. Chris sat, feeling weirdly out of place yet so at ease, and took a breath. I wanted to thank you properly for yesterday. Seriously, you didn't have to help, but you did, and wow. It's rocked me more than you know. Ethan grinned. Oh, that grin. And shrugged. It was no big deal. You looked like you needed a hand. Tony jumped in. Yeah, and we were already soaked. Figured why not do something useful? Chris laughed. Full-on laughed. Shaking his head in awe. You three? You've got more generosity than most folks I've met my whole life. Can you believe that? Peter leaned back, arms crossed, cool as ever. It's just what you do, right? Help someone when they're stuck. Chris studied them, really looked, and their sincerity hit him again, bam! Like a wave he couldn't dodge. He dug into his pocket, pulling out a small notebook, ideas scribbled on the drive, and leaned in. I know you didn't do it for anything back, he started. But I've got to do something for you. All of you. They glanced at each other, curious, cautious. Ethan tilting his head. Like what? He asked, voice steady but intrigued. Well, Chris said, leaning closer, here it comes. How about I fix up your bikes or grab something you've been wanting? Something practical? It's my way of saying thanks. Please. Tony frowned. Oh, Tony. Shaking his head. You don't have to, mister, we're good. Peter nodded. Yeah, we weren't after a reward. No way. Chris raised a hand. Hold on. Smiling soft. I get it. But this isn't about rewards. It's about passing on the kindness you showed me. Let me do this, please. Ethan hesitated. Oh, the suspense. Glancing at his crew. Well, there is something. Tony and Peter shot him looks. What? And Ethan went on. There's this community center we hang at sometimes. It's falling apart. Leaks in the roof, old gear. They've been trying to raise cash to fix it. But it's slow, real slow. Chris leaned back. Jackpot. His mind racing. A community center? Now that's worth helping. Don't you think? Ethan nodded, eager now. Yeah. Tons of kids go there after school. It's big for the town. Tony piped up. If you want to do something, maybe help them instead of us? Chris's chest swelled. Pride. Pure pride. These boys weren't just kind. They were wise, selfless to the bone. All right, he said, standing, deal sealed. You've got it. I'll see what I can do for that community center. Count on it. Their grins lit up, humble but thrilled. And Ethan stuck out a hand. Thanks, mister. Chris shook it, firm, real. Looking at them with respect bursting out. No, he said, voice steady as rock. Thank you. You've shown me the world needs more like you, seriously. Walking back to his car. Oh, what a moment. He felt it. Purpose, renewed and blazing. Helping those boys. Just the start. This town had magic, and he'd fight to keep it alive. Driving off, their smiling faces stuck with him. Wow! A reminder that tiny acts of kindness ripple out forever. Don't they? A week later, he was back. Plan locked and loaded. He'd made calls, pulled strings, his resources in full gear. But this wasn't about showing off. Oh no! It was about what mattered, truly mattered. Parking near that diner, he stepped out, scanning the quiet street. Where were they? The town humming its lazy midweek tune. The boys weren't there this time, darn. But Chris? He wasn't fazed. He knew exactly where to hunt them down. Can you picture it? After a quick chat with some friendly locals. Oh, their small-town warmth was something else. Chris set off, his heart pounding with purpose, toward the community center those boys had mentioned. There it stood, modest as can be, its once bright paint dulled by years of wear and tear, faded like an old memory, the roof, patched up in spots, barely holding on, and the playground out back. Oh, it hadn't seen an update in decades. Swings creaking, slide chipped, yet, wow! There was this charm, this quiet strength shining through the cracks, a sense of purpose that grabbed you despite the imperfections. Inside, Chris spotted them, Ethan, Tony, and Peter, huddled around a table strewn with papers and markers, crafting a banner that shouted, Community Center Fundraiser. Every little bit helps. When they saw him, bam! Their faces lit up like fireworks. Hey, Mr. Chris, Ethan called, dropping his paintbrush with a grin. What are you doing here, really? Chris stepped closer. Oh, the anticipation. Smiling wide. I told you I wanted to help, didn't I? Had to see what you're up to. Couldn't stay away. Tony waved at the banner. Proud, right? And said, we're trying to raise cash for the center. Got a bake sale and car wash lined up for the weekend. Peter jumped in, eager as ever. It's slow going, but every penny counts. Every single one. Chris nodded. Can you believe their grit? Totally blown away by their hustle. You three are unreal, you know that?
Absolument.
But, hold on. I think we can kick this into high gear. The boys swapped looks. What's he up to? Curiosity sparking in their eyes. What do you mean? Ethan asked, his voice cautious but tingling with hope. Chris knelt down, right to their level. His tone warm but dead serious. I made some calls. Oh, you bet I did. Got buddies in construction, equipment suppliers, even local business folks on board. They're ready to fix this place up, top to bottom. The boys stared, jaws dropping, their eyes huge with disbelief. You're serious? Tony whispered, voice so soft it barely carried. Chris nodded, firm as a rock. Dead serious. The center, it's gold to your community, and you three. You amazing kids. Reminded me helping others beats anything money can buy. Repairs start next week. Mark my words. Ethan glanced at Tony and Peter. Can you feel the buzz? His face splitting into a grin. Did you hear that? He's fixing the center. Actually doing it. Peter leapt up, pure excitement. This is insane. The kids are gonna flip. Totally lose it. Tony, oh, practical Tony, frowned just a bit. But wait, how much is this gonna cost you, Mr. Chris? You don't have to shell out big just for us. Do you? Chris laughed, loud and hearty, standing tall. Tony, this isn't just for you. It's for everyone who steps foot here, now and years down the road. And trust me, oh, trust me, it's worth every dime, every last cent. The boys were buzzing, electric with joy. But Chris? He wasn't done yet, no way. He turned as the door creaked open, and in walked a woman. Arms loaded with papers, a tired smile softening her face. She froze when she saw him, and said, Hi, I'm Karen, the center's director. Can I help you? Chris stretched out a hand, confident, warm. I think I'm here to help you, Karen. These boys told me about the magic you're working here. I want to pitch in. Karen's eyes widened. Shock City? Pitch in how? Chris swept his arm toward the building. Grand gesture time. I'm setting up a full renovation, new roof, fresh playground, top-notch gear for the kids. Whatever you need to make this place what it should be. Dream big. Karen blinked. Can you imagine? Her hand flying to her mouth. I don't even know what to say. Really? Say yes. Chris shot back, his smile glowing. And tell me how to make your life easier. Let's do this. Karen glanced at the boys, then back at him, her voice shaky with feeling. Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely yes. Thank you. So much. For hours that flew by. Chris sat with Karen and the boys hashing out a plan. Oh, it was detailed. Renovations would kick off right away. Roof first, then the big stuff. Chris scribbled notes as Karen poured her heart out. Passionate, right? About programs they dreamed of, but couldn't run with the building falling apart. The boys tossed in ideas. Playground slides, game zones. Their energy lighting up the room like a sparkler. When Chris finally stepped out that evening, phew! The sun dipped low, painting the town gold. Pure magic. He looked back at the center, dreaming big, picturing it months from now. Alive, thriving, bursting with laughter and endless possibilities. Driving off, he felt it. Bam! Something shifting deep inside. This wasn't just a project. No, sir. It was his shot to leave a mark, to honor three boys whose selflessness woke him up to kindness and connection. He gripped the wheel tighter, smiling huge, knowing, for the first time in years, he was right where he belonged. Didn't that feel good? The renovations hit the ground running. Fast and fierce. Workers swarming the center the very next week. Chris. He planned it down to the nail. Obsessed, right? Starting with that old leaky roof, ripped off and replaced. Then walls, plumbing, electrical, all reborn. This wasn't some patch job. Oh no. It was a total transformation, jaw-dropping. Ethan, Tony, and Peter? They were there every day after school. Can you see it? Gawking as their hangout morphed before their eyes. They jumped in, hauling tools, clearing junk, even slapping paint on walls. And the workers? They adored those kids. Joking, teaching them tricks, letting them tackle small jobs under watchful eyes. Chris popped in often, couldn't stay away. Checking progress, chatting up the crew, but, oh, the best part. Those breaks outside with the boys and Karen, dreaming up the center's future. Each day, each sun-soaked day. He felt tighter with this community, this mission. Didn't it just grow on you? One Saturday morning, bright and buzzing. As workers put the final flourishes on the new playground, a crowd rolled in. Families, kids, neighbors. Word had spread, and the excitement? Palpable, electric. That playground, vibrant swings, a shiny slide, a jungle gym, stood proud. A beacon of what happens when folks unite. Amazing, right? Chris stood with Karen, watching, waiting. As the last bolts locked into place, she turned to him, eyes shining, her voice soft with wonder. I don't think we'll ever thank you enough, ever. Chris shook his head, humble, huh? Smiling gentle. Karen, it's not about thanks. Nah. This place will mean the world to so many. That's my win. Her eyes glistened. Tears? And she nodded. You've done more than fix a building, Chris. You've given this town hope, real hope. Before he could answer, boom. Ethan, Tony, and Peter raced over, faces glowing, shouting, it's done. The playground's done. Ethan pointed, wild with glee, at the workers stepping back from the shiny new gear. Chris grinned. Their joy was contagious. You three? You get first dibs. Test it out. No hesitation. They bolted, sprinting to the swings, laughing as they hopped on, swinging high. Their carefree happiness? Oh, it spread like wildfire. Crowd cheering, parents beaming, kids lining up to join. As day faded to evening, soft and golden, Chris stood on the center steps, soaking it in, people mingling, kids playing, laughter bouncing everywhere. Karen sidled up, coffee in hand, and said, You've changed this place, Chris. But, oh, I think you've changed you too. He chuckled, sipping that coffee, and nodded. You're not wrong, spot on. Those boys? They reminded me kindness isn't some puzzle. Nah. It's just stopping to help someone out. Simple as that. Karen smiled, wise, warm. And sometimes it blooms into something massive, doesn't it? Later, event winding down, families drifting home. Ethan, Tony, and Peter found Chris by his car. Quiet for a sec, then Ethan stepped up. Mr. Chris, we just want to say thanks. Not just for the center, but, wow. Everything, he said, voice real and deep. Chris knelt, eye to eye, and looked at them, heart full. No, thank you. Without you three, I'd have forgotten what counts truly. Tony shifted, hands in pockets, muttering, We just thought we were fixing a tire, you know? Chris laughed, tousling Tony's hair. You did way more, Tony. Fixed something in me I didn't know was busted. Peter grinned, eyes twinkling. Well, if you need help again, you know where we're at, right? Chris stood beaming down, warmth spilling out. I'll take you up on that someday. Count on it. They waved, heading off to their families, leaving Chris by his car, watching them go. Oh, what a sight. A deep, rich fullness settling in, driving away that night. No emptiness now. He felt whole, complete. That center, not just a building, nah. A symbol of what happens when kindness wins. Beautiful, right? Join the justice movement. Subscribe, comment, live these stories daily. Together, oh, together, we can spark real change. Can't we? Oh, what a story these paragraphs weave. One that hits me right in the heart. Is a blazing reminder of what really matters in life. Isn't it? I'm blown away by how three boys, Ethan, Tony, and Peter turned a simple act of kindness into a tidal wave of change. To me, this screams that our lifestyle doesn't have to be this mad dash for money or status. Ugh, how exhausting is that? Chris, this billionaire drowning in his own world, got a wake-up call from kids who didn't care about his wallet. That's raw, unfiltered beauty, living for connection, not just climbing some endless ladder. Socially? Oh, I'm fired up. This tale smashes the idea that generosity's dead or that people only help when there's something in it for them. Nonsense. Those boys didn't need a reward. They just did it. Can you feel the hope in that? It's a slap in the face to our cynical, transactional society. Proof we can still care, still lift each other up. I'm tired of hearing everyone's selfish. No, they're not. These kids, this community, they're the heartbeat of what we could be if we stopped hoarding and started sharing. Don't you crave that? And the issue here? Purpose. Oh, it's everything. Chris found his soul again. Not in boardrooms, but in muddy raincoats and a rickety community center. I'm shouting it. We've got to chase what lights us up, not just what fills our pockets. This story's a blazing torch. Kindness isn't weak. It's power. It's messy, real, and, damn it, it's what keeps us human. Let's live louder, love harder, and build something that lasts. Together, isn't that worth fighting for?